Dr. Joyeeta for this podcast. This is a kind of a podcast where I'm trying to demystify what is cancer all about. Trust me, she has been doing research about it for a very long time now. But meanwhile, she also has been part of many NGOs and she has really saw the pain of the people who have really gone through this cancer. And I think she has a little story behind getting into the cancer research, starting an NGO and things like that. But that satisfaction of helping somebody in terms of education or else in terms of even that moral support, right? It's a huge satisfaction just because you're born. Like, trust me, it's a huge satisfaction. So now I'm here with Joyeeta ma'am for demystifying what this cancer all about, the research in India, and why are we not curing it to the fullest extent? Like, even if we have the most sophisticated equipments right now in the India, right now in the world, but nobody has tried to really demystify how to cure it in like one approach, or else there are multiple approaches for it. And I think probably this podcast is going to be more enriching for those folks who think that money is everything and money can cure the disease. I don't think so. I think we are going to demystify a lot here. I welcome Joyeeta ma'am for this podcast, and this is going to be the best 1.5 to 1 hour of my life and the 1.5 to 1 hour of your life also.
So, hello everyone. Thank you, Vishwas, for giving me this chance to talk in your podcast about my research and about my work with NGO. So hopefully I will be able to put some light on whatever work I am doing, whatever research we are into, and probably the translational medicinal part, which we are working on. So yeah, I'm looking forward for this podcast and thank you very much.
Yeah, research is all about making sure that we make some right decision over the course of time. We have really understood that through a lot of ways. Like, I give webinars outside, I take webinars from different people. Like, it's been a long journey for me. But what has been research all about to you? Like, you are into different scenarios in different point of time. Like, every given point of time, you actually face different problems during the research. Every different point of time, you will come across different people in NGOs saying different problems in their life and different diseases that they are suffering from. But like, I want to ask you this one question, because you have seen all of these. What is research all about to you? At the end of the day, you're a researcher in the field of cancer.
Yeah. So thank you very much for this question. So the word research itself says that to search something which is already present. In our BScs or in our graduations, what we basically think is that we are going to invent something new, we are going to get something new. But as we gain experiences in our life, what I found that what my guides were able to guide me, Dr. Bikul Das, Dr. Debabrat Boisho, Dr. Jyotirmoy Fukon, is that you need to study from the ground level. So while studying from the ground level, we found that what is the root cause? Root cause of something which is very, very, right now, very, very, means it is just coming up in such a way. I'm from Assam. So in Assam, it's basically the oral cancer was the thing which came to my knowledge, that it is one of the things where it needs like to have a very immediately you need to answer those questions, because the patients that were coming to us basically were of fourth stage, third stage. So they had those big swellings, big wounds in their mouth, and we couldn't heal them. So the doctor says, see, this is the root cause. So we need to get to the root, and then we need to understand. So during the time we started studying, and that made me understand that, okay, research is not like we started getting that bridge.
Like, can you repeat from 10 seconds? Like research. I'm sorry, like, I know your network is so not that good, but like, you were stuck and I could not hear anything. Sorry, ma. Like, yeah.
It's okay. So research is like for us, for me, when I am from Assam, the immediate thing for me was that to get a solution to the people who are suffering from cancer, oral cancer. So that brought me into research. So we wanted to do something for oral cancer patients in Assam. So that was when I started doing my research. I got into those groups and we started studying the patients. And when we started studying the patients, we found that each and every patient have got different type of reactions or different types of treatment patterns. And we need to understand, India needs to understand that first is the personalized medicines. Okay, first is the personalized medicines. So that is the one thing which I want people to know, that people need to understand about the personalized medicine. So our research started more about getting into each patient, what are the treatments they need, and what is the cause of the metastasis, why it is being so fast, why the recurrence is so fast. So that brought me into research. And to add to it, the topic which I had done my PhD was the reprogramming of mesenchymal stem cells by cancer stem cells. So here basically we wanted to study whether the mesenchymal stem cells, which is known as the kind of healers, kind of they are the ones who heals different types of wounds, are they the one which are being reprogrammed by the cancer stem cells, and they might cause metastasis if they go into some known environment or in a very comfortable environment, and then that may lead to a very drastic metastasis. So that was what which brought me to this research, and that is how I got linked with this research, and that is the one what to say point of my research.
Why you started off with this journey of studying cancer. I know that, but like, what's the fact that we are not understanding behind like the physiology of any disease? Like, like recently we suffer from the pandemic. I think probably if there are people who are going to see this podcast 10 years, 20 years, 100 years later, I don't care whether you see, whether you don't see, but I want people to just get to know the fact that are we still adamant to the fact that we are limited to the understanding of the physiology of the diseases. Like, let it be like breast cancer was once told it's genetic, but it's also told it's not genetic. Like, cancer is of from different form factor. It's like brain tumor has been more than 20, 30 variants of it. Like, cancer has been like in let it be like people who are suffering from different cancer, the root cause is still a metastasized cell which just flows in through your bloodstream or the lymphatic stream or something like that. But at the end of the day, we are also limited to the fact that it's not that we are not analyzing the physiology of the disease and giving that proper cure. What do you feel as a researcher? Are we still adamant to the fact that we as an humans are limited to the fact that we are not understanding the physiology of the disease and we are just throwing in medicine into the people? I know this is sounding more like BM Hegde, who is always more against the medicine, but yeah, you can answer this question in any way that you want.
The fact is that while I was working and I am working with different people and different forms of cancer, patients with different forms of cancer, the first problem which we get is that people don't really come to the doctors. We Indians, basically from India, what I can say is that we don't come to the doctors when the problem is minimal. The proverb which I can use here is a stitch in time saves nine. So we don't do that stitch on time. Suppose I have just like a pain in my hand for a couple of months. So I am going to take the painkillers. It is going to be all right. Okay, fine. But instead, if we go to a doctor and we get all the reports done, and we have a yearly or 6 months we go for a body checkup, yearly checkup. So it happens we are very negotiating. We just go when there is some very problem, when some problem really arises. You see, this is our body, it gives very good alarms. We don't take that alarms. Okay, somebody has a problem and they have a lump or something there. This is going to be okay, this is going to be fine. But they really don't go to doctors, really don't consult anybody. They're going to do all the other stuffs, they are going to drink this, they are going to do that, they're going to go to the doctors when things have been worsened, and then they want quick treatment. Doctors cannot give that quick treatment, they need to wait. They need to wait. So that is why where we are lacking. That is the place where we are lacking. So when we lack in that a place, that we are not taking the responsibility of our own body. We are not taking the responsibility of our own body, going to the doctors at the right time, getting ourselves scanned at the right time, then we do have to take the responsibility that the treatment might not come at the right time. But yes, India has people who are under poverty levels, so they cannot go to the doctors. So they always think this is going to be fine. This is just a cut. This is just a bruise. This is going to be fine. But then education comes. We have not educated them to that level to understand themselves. Okay, so that is the main problem which I find while where we addressing the cancer form or the increase in the number of the physiology, we are not taking our responsibilities. I think I answered your question.
Yeah, you answered it, because trust me, because it's not the adamance of doctor which makes the people dead. It's all about we just saying like we don't want to throw off money simply, and we absolutely complain, right? Like sometimes, okay, this doctor might just be associated with some pharmaceutical company and he might be throwing that medicine. Trust me, years and years of study, years and years of work later, they come with the conclusion of saying that they get that license of doctor, and they don't come out with saying that, hey, I just completed my MBBS for 5 years, and like it doesn't happen like that. Like, where there is a lot of new things coming up. Stem cell has its own impact in the world today. Like, of course, there are a lot of things which are varying, and over the course of time, I just want to ask you this one question: like, what is translation medicine, and how is it going to be an impactful journey in the field of medicine for the new researchers who are budding in this field? And I know you are more into the stem cell based cancer and all these kind of medical nonsense which we engineers don't even care, but like somehow we should get associated with you doctors tomorrow in order to give that personalized precision medicine. So just demystify me, what is translational medicine all about?
Okay, so this was introduced to us by my guide, Dr. Bikul Das. He came from Stanford. He's one of my guides. So he also addressed with along Dr. Jyotirmoy Phukon and the team with which we were working that there is a gap. There is a gap between the patients and the scientists. There is a big gap. Suppose if I tell about the co-vaccine or the Covishield, there are, just like the co-vaccine is there, the phase 3 trials have been done and then it is given to the patients. But in between, there are many news media, there are reports that are coming that this vaccine should not be taken, this should not be done, that should not be done. So people are kind of listening to those havocs. Fine. Instead of literally listening to the doctors or the scientists, because we scientists are not in direct touch with the people. Got it. So we needed to build a bridge between the patients and the scientists. So what we started is that we started a telemedicine consultation with Dr. Bikul Das. He, along with several other people from students from Assam, he is right now doing it after we have come out of his organization, although we are still a part of his organization. So what we do is that we take each patients, they are under the poverty level patients, they don't have that much of money to go for high level immunotherapy, high level chemotherapy. So what we basically do, or the team basically does, is that these patients come to these teleconsultation centers. We have a team of doctors, we have a team of scientists. They see through the patients' reports, they help them in their nutrition and dietetics, they help them to go through the minimal chemotherapy. Fine. So that these people might understand what the scientists are basically doing. They don't know what the scientist says. So it is a very interesting thing, I should say. Once we were doing animal cell culture, we were doing culturing of cells in our lab back in Assam. So some farmers were called from Hualkusi, it is the silk village of Assam. So they came and they said, what do people are doing over here? So we said, we are kind of culturing the cells. So they said, oh, that means farming. You are farming, we also farm. So that is the mental, but to say they don't understand it. So now what has happened is that they at least understand that whatever the treatment they are getting, whether it is in the correct form, whatever is being done, so it is kind of personalizing them. And then we are making them come in contact with the radiologists, with the medical oncologists, with the surgical oncologists, and then there are scientists in our team who are also participating and telling, and they're discussing with the scientists, the students are discussing with the doctors that what needs to be done in a minimal way so that these cancer patients can survive or these cancer patients can be treated. So that is known as translational medicine. And to add to it, we have an herbal garden over there, herbal plants, extracts over there. So India has been like a hub of herbal, what to say, different types of medicines. So we are trying to trace them up, and there is a new theory which we have introduced, right? The MYC and HIF2 alpha stemness theory. So the MYC and HIF2 alpha research, which the lab Dr. Pikul Das has been doing in Kavi Krishna lab of his, and there the patients are there in his telemedicine center, and some of the works have been done in AIM, some of the works have been done in Assam Medical College. So there are collaborations all over. So we are trying to set a theory where we want to say that the MYC is a proto-oncogene. That proto-oncogene activates the HIF2 alpha, which is the hypoxia factor. So once that has been hyperactivated, all the stemness markers like OCT4, NANONG, SOX2, they are being activated. Once they are activated, the cancer stem cell light formation or the cells are being formed in the tumor microenvironment. Now, this cancer stem cells might reprogram the mesenchymal stem cells which are around in the tumor microenvironment, and these reprogrammed mesenchymal stem cells might be responsible for metastasis. So that is the theory which we have proved. We have papers, and there are recent theories which we have proved in COVID-19 also. The team over there has proved in COVID-19 also. So this is the type of translational medicines, and the patients are also coordinating. So that is the work which means all about the theory and translational medicine.
Yeah, I know. I just want to this is off the topic. I know this is not in the questionnaire that we just built. Like on the scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least, 10 being the max. What's the understanding of any person? How much is the understanding of a doctor in terms of the patient's reaction? Like in terms of how well do doctors react to the patient's way in which they are saying? Like I know there are some times where there are misinformations which will pop up, like patient might not even say the complete truth, and sometimes he can be mistreated. This Mary Tennett's paper which BMA told, like we are mistreated, ill-treated or under-treated and things like that. Things like that pop up. Like how much is that effectiveness of patient's truth over the medicine which they receive? Like I'm asking you in terms of getting the feedback from a patient and giving that medicine, how far has it been effective for any doctor right now? And also I want to ask you this one question: on the scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least and 10 being the max, how much is our understanding behind the physiology of any disease? Let it not be cancer, but any disease, how much is that? So 2 questions right now.
Okay, so from a scientist's perspective, what I can say is that we generally we generally want to study about the physiology of every disease. We want to study what are the genes present, what are the pathways going on, and this is happening, that is happening. But when a patient comes to a doctor, he literally or she literally doesn't have that much of time, because in India, one doctor has around 100 patients. So you understand the load of it. So if he has to analyze like a scientist, like this a cancer patient, two cancer patients, 38 years old, both having breast cancer, HER2 positive breast cancer, both are being given same medicines. One survived, one didn't survive. What was the cause of it? They don't have the time because one doctor is, I'm telling less, 100 patients. It can be 200, can be 300. In the government hospital, the load is very much. Okay, so the doctors try to do justice with each and every patient. Okay, because it is their work. If a patient basically comes to a scientist, then they would try to understand what is the mechanism behind it. What is the pathway that is working? Is this transubimab literally working in that way? But you never know in what stage that patient has come to the doctor. It might be the fourth stage, and they just need to react, right? So that is what I want to say is like we are responsible. Again, I want to say that we become responsible at that time, and then there is the gap between the scientist, the doctor, and the patients. Because we are not scientifically so much advanced, we think, okay, it's fine, it will be okay. It might be just a pain, it might be this, it might be that. We are doing late. Leave behind the people, leave behind the poverty line people. So this is where the gap is. And I would never say, because even in AIMS, okay, that thing comes up because the patients comes again and again asking, what is the medicine? How should I take it? That is done and this is done. So the doctors don't have that much of time to entertain each and every patient. Okay. But they do justice to each and every patient, because I have been to OPDs, I have seen the patients, and the way they justify each and every patient, the team that works behind them, the tumor board that works behind them. It is a tremendous, each and every patient has been discussed in the tumor board. What is the surgery that needs to be done? What is the medications that needs to be done? And if the person is a BPL card holder and the doctors are too good, I need to say, they would make sure that that patient gets the chemotherapy through one NGO or the other. I do work with AIMS, and I'm proud to be a part of that team where the doctors do take that level of interest in the patients who are literally poor and who need the treatment, and they go over there and they see that they get it. So yes, each and every life matters. But we also are not responsible. We are also very much responsible, because sanitization is important. We don't, the people who are uneducated, even the educated people, they don't understand the sanitization. In oral cancer, it is very, very important, but they don't do the cleaning properly. They don't do the stuffs properly. So there are infections, the infections grows. Okay. So we need to be that much well maintained with the sanitization in the home should be that much good. So yeah, uh, we also are responsible for it. And
Yeah,
I
but
could give to the doctors.
but on a scale of 1 to 10, how much are we as scientists, are we as professionals in the field of medicine understanding the physiology of any disease, let it be cancer, let it be anything? Like, how much are we trying to understand the physiology of the disease? Like, is it really important? That's my question. That was my second question.
Really, really important. As I have told you, there might be same cases, same age group, same medications being given, but one patient survived, one didn't survive. What was the cause behind it? What was the cause behind it? It is the physiology of the patient. It is how they deal with it. It is their mental status of the patient, how they deal with it, right? How they are seeing it. I have a recent patient. What I want to say about him, he was very, very close to me. We met when I started this telemedicine thing over here in Delhi. So he had oral cancer. Okay. He had got metastasis. He had got relapsed metastasis in 2018, but he had got such a willpower that he survived. Everybody thought that he was given immunotherapy, the best immunotherapy. Okay. He survived till 2021. He has demised a couple of weeks back. We all thought that he might survive for 6 months, not more than that, when I had met him. but it was because of his willpower that he survived. Same patient, same type of patient, he was much healthier, he was in Assam, but he had a broken will. He couldn't survive because of his mental status, because he was getting mentally also ill. He was getting mentally weak. So both the patients, it depends to patients. So the physiology of the disease also changes from patients to patient. So we need personalized medicine for that. We need to personalize the medicine. But the problem is one doctor, 100 patients.
Well, it's impossible because trust me, because I'll be very frank with you, I'm an engineer. I see different concept, I fall in love with it. But like, it's not like personalized medicine, like I love this medicine and I'll give it to him. It's impossible to give the same approach in medicine. I think in engineering, I think probably, I was doing some research on stem cells, and I fiddled around with algorithm because the data sets still remain the same, but it's not the same thing when it comes to the medicine. It's complex. It's complex. So let me just ask you this one question. Like, you told about people, the way which they're reacting, the way in which your mentors have influenced you and things like that. But I just want to ask you this one question: how to be the right researcher? I did a podcast with Anand Srivastava sir from Geostar, and he was amazing. He was amazing. It was like, I just asked him 5 questions and he answered everything about the stem cells. Like, I was like, oh my God, like, what should I do next? And I'll be calling him for the part 2 of the webinar, and I'll also be calling him for the Pioneer South India Summit also. So yeah, I've called you, sir. I've called you, and I've also called Abhibruto sir for this. And I think I'll be calling more people from AIMS if possible, for sure. And I'll be joining the NGO, don't worry. That's what I'll be joining. But how to ask that right question? Because Anand Srivastava really told you need to know how to ask right questions. And we forget to ask sometimes that right question, and we fiddle around with different techniques which are written in paper, different medicines which were prescribed to different people. Like, what is it all about? How to ask the right questions when you're in the field of medicine research?
Research. Okay, so as a researcher, what are the questions you need to ask while
Yep.
doing research? Okay. So I learned it from Dr. Bikul Das, my guide, Dr. Devabrot Boisho, and even my present guide, Dr. Subradip Karmakar from AIMS. So the main thing is that you don't need to copy anybody. The main thing is that you need to hypothesize what is the problem. You just need to figure out what is the problem. Suppose cancer is a big field. So when I came in this field, I was like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to answer this, I want to answer that. No, you need to know what is the problem. You want to answer it, and then why are you working on it? There are several works that has been done. You need to research about it. So that is the research all about. You need to talk about these are the works that has been done. So now you need to find out the loophole. Now the loophole is very, very important. You need to find out what is the loophole. All those research has been done. What is the work that remains? You need to figure it out. Nobody is going to help you in that. Then you will be a copycat for the rest of your life. You need to figure out, just like Dr. Bikul Das' lab has been working on the stemness theory. His guide has been working on a theory. Dr. Subradip Karmakar's lab, this lab has been working all about bioinformatics, placental theory, hypoxia. So they are working on different stuffs. They have a story, you need to build a story. A very important is how you build a story, how you hypothesize your problem. You need to build a story. I bought a pen with 5 rupees. I took it. It was red in color, but it didn't write. So I just tried to write through it. So then it started. So what was the problem? That I couldn't write. So what was the solution? So I just started doing this. So after that, I started writing. So that was the answer to your question. So you need to figure out the question, right? Ask the right question, sit with your papers, right? Ask the right question. Don't copycat everybody, because everybody is doing that. You need to figure out the real question, real answer. And that is how I am also still trying to be a good researcher. So my field is basically the translational medicine. I'm more into it.
Yeah, you remember that mnemonic like Sister Lucy's powder face attracts many temporary idiots. These are some of like very, very few techniques like which help many lot of idiots like me to understand what is medicine. Like I fell in love as soon as BM Hegde told it in one of his speech. I still remember it because I'm a big fan of him. Like I'm also like, if I get my headache, I don't take the paracetamol. I just, you know, earlier I used to go and walk, but like now I just go and eat. Simple as that. Probably I might be deficient in some calories, something like that. It probably might have worked. But like, all diseases can't be solved with this approach. Sometimes you need to induce medicine and things like that. But there are even cases where medicine has not made that impact also, where people have forgotten that impact of our body on its own. So today we have seen advent of medicine, AI, and all the things like computers are involved everywhere. A CT scan, computer is involved. A drug discovery, somehow computer is involved in the modern age labs, but like of course in some places they still do with the pipette tips and things like that. But I want to ask you, like, we have an advent of AI and medicine and things like that, but have we completely understood the diseases? Like the cancer has been not really been demystified. Like today, if I open the Google and I say research paper on cancer, there'll be a new research paper popping up and saying that we found a new behavior of the cancer. But like, can we really understand the behavior of any diseases, the physiology of any diseases with the advent of AI and medicine? And also, can we predict the future probabilities and the plausibilistic form factors of the cancer tomorrow? That's what my question is all about with the advent of AI and machine learning.
To an extent, yes, yes. This genetics, this AI, this next genome sequencing, this has helped us, and even we are also kind of working on those in this my present lab. They are working. We are working on this AI things. So kind of we are also taking the help of it. Means we have also started believing it. So nowadays, if there is some problem in the child in placenta, so they take the amniotic fluids and they go for it. There are some chromosomal aberrations, or they go for genotyping and stuffs. If there is a family history of breast cancer, if there is a family history of cervical cancer, then we go for the whole genome sequencing and we find that whether there are any probability that there might be breast cancer in this patient, there might be cervical cancer in this patient, and probably we are helping those patients by saying that you might have this problem, so it is better you get this treatment, or you start this treatment, or you start living in this lifestyle. So somewhere we are also believing in this AI. Somewhere we have also started using this bioinformatical approach. Somewhere we are sitting here and we have started finding out that sitting over here, whether this particular exon and intron, these are workings or not, or this has been the problem, this is the cause, might be this is the mutation which has caused. So yes, somewhere AI is taking a very big part, and in the near future, you never know, by taking a small amount of blood, if we go for an early detection by taking a small amount of blood and then going for a whole genome sequencing and whatever it is, we might be able to find that after 10 years, what is the disease we might be getting into, or what my family would be getting into. So these things are going on. So yeah, to some extent it is working, and we need to also rely, because that is again the bridge between medical and AI, because right now in this COVID, we have seen that we all are taking help of this AI. We never thought that we would be sitting and working and doing stuffs in all those ways. Their business will be going in this way. So somewhere this has taken into this real world, this virtual world has taken up into this real world. And so we need to believe it. Yeah, we need to believe. And yeah, it has taken a very big part.
I felt very happy doing a podcast with you, because I'll say you why. Because translation medicine is no big deal. in terms of a definition, but it becomes a big deal when you're doing a research. Because to me, I can give a definition, like I can do this research, I can do that research. They are doing this research. If they give me data, I can do some data science, but like, yeah,
No, it's
yeah,
okay, but it's like the translational medicine is like when we really go to the patients don't understand our language. We need to understand them. We get in touch with their family. There, the NGOs come into action. They start helping. They start monetarily helping. We provide them medicines. So that is something where we then there are volunteers, they become so much energized in helping those patients that it becomes like a one-on-one interaction always. Doctors cannot keep that one-on-one interaction always with the patients. The patients need to come back to the doctor. But in this, when the NGOs and when the social workers come into action, it somewhat minimizes the work of the doctor, the follow-up of the patients. Yes, I forgot to tell you again what is lacking in Indian way is that suppose one has a form of cancer, they come for treatment and they do the treatment and the doctor says come back after 2 months for the follow-up. They go back to the village and they say, I am okay, I don't need to go. They would come back only when it is metastasized and they are in the worsened form. They will come back then, and then they would say that the doctor has done nothing. I had done the operation 2 years back. I was all right. Then the operation just, but it is not like that. Follow up in cancer patients is very, very important. And translational medicine is something where we are trying to teach people, where we are trying to educate people about this follow-ups, why it is so important, why nutrition and dietitian is important, what the foods are to be taken, why you should not take stale foods. So these are some of the things which we are trying to teach by other NGOs. Like if I name some, like Kavi Krishna, like Pratishruti Palliative Care, which is in Assam, Upper Assam, with whom I am working. Here there are some NGOs. So again, there is one of the small organizations like Ekagra, which I have recently started. So yeah, working with the tea gardens, making them understand this is what breast cancer is all about. This is what HPV is all about. This is what cervical cancer is all about. This is when you need to go to the doctor. These are the symptoms. So you need to make them understand. So that is what is important, the follow-up of the patients. I hope people understand it, that follow-up, even the educated people also. It is very, very important.
yeah. Thank you for giving that bright side of that research also. Even like NGOs, people might think that NGOs are like collecting fund and things like that. It's also about educating people also. So keep that in mind, people. If you think that NGO is just about going there, collecting money from the people and working there, it's not about it. It's all about, it's beyond it. It's beyond it actually. So I feel that there's no dangerous phase for any cancer today. Like even if you don't have a cancer, you can die. Like a simple tumor or a simple lump can just get accumulated and it can really kill you. So I just want to ask you this one question, like there's a lack of medical data set. Like, trust me, there's a huge lacking of that medical data set. What's the reason behind it? And why is there a shortage of data even today? Like Fitbit collects more data than what we can think about, right? But like, why is still we are lacking in terms of medical data? Of course, physionet is filled with data set, but I'm not talking about it. But there are many other form factors of a disease that we are not able to really make a generalized classification or that detection. So what's the reason behind lack of that medical data all about today?
Okay, so the first thing is that a patient's lack of one of the main causes, I have talked about it already, is the lack of follow-ups. Patient needs to have a 5-year survival analysis. Every patient is been followed up for 5 years. Then we can say that that patient is cancer-free in one form. But the patients don't come for follow-ups. That is one thing, one very, very important why we lack data. Why we lack data. Now, doctors, as I say, cannot go behind every patient in every village, get them into and catch them up and do the survival analysis or whether they're present or not. See, during my PhD, I had 17 patients. They were been followed up by me personally. But 13 of them, to be very honest, 13 of them, they never came back for a single follow-up. They thought that they were okay, they don't need anything. We called them up, we had to get them back, we had to do them follow-ups. So they were like, why we are being called? Why you are bothering us? Ours is fine, we are okay. Why you are bothering us? So these are the types of questions. So that is one of the main, very important thing, that patients don't come for follow-up. So that is one of the lacking things for data, availability of data. So we need to take the responsibilities, because doctors have their books, they have the reports, they have the files of each and every patient. But if the patient doesn't come up, then the doctor is not going to see it. They have given the date. It is a responsibility of the patient to come back. So there, the NGOs are going to work. So there, the volunteers work, that they need to fetch that patient. So now there are social workers. In AIMS also, there are social workers. So they try to educate the people that you need to come on this date so that you can follow up. You will get this medicines. So this is one of the causes.
Yeah,
Very important.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, because we forget that they are doctors and they have their own family, they have their own job to be done. And yeah, like we are adamant. We are adamant to the fact that we are not completely being educated. That's for sure. But like we are, have you ever learned the ways in which we can cure a cancer in one way? Because we are somehow much more mature in terms of analyzing the physiology of the disease, analyzing the physiology of what is cancer all about, like to some extent. But we are overthinking by not studying it back, and like we are basically just popping in pills and saying that probably something might work, something might not work, in some research and some data which I could actually find. Like, have you learned to cure cancer? Because you are a cancer researcher, you should be studying a lot and lot of literature. Because me studying a literature is no big deal, because I can just turn out to be a different person altogether. Have you learned to cure cancer? Because you are a cancer researcher now, so probably you have read a lot and lot of literature, much more than any person that I saw. Because I have not been that good of a researcher to that extent. But I want to ask you, like, from your point of view, have you ever learned to cure cancer?
To cure cancer, for some patients, of course, yes. For some patients who have been doing the uh, follow-ups and everything. So yeah, we do. We find that those people have good survival analysis. When we do the survival analysis and everything, they do survive. But it depends again to patient to patient. There, it again depends upon patients to patients. So now what you are questioning is that again it comes to personalized medicine. I have to say it. See again, that is like two patients, same disease.
Ma'am, one second,
But
one second. What you can
yeah.
do is, like, you can say about the types of cancer and then give this explanation so that people will understand, like, yeah, she's talking about
Okay.
this. Because you can say what your research belongs to. Like, there are different forms of cancer, what your research belongs to, so that they can get that idea of it.
Okay. So like okay, so there are different forms of cancer, as to say. So my research is basically head and neck cancer. In the head and neck region, it is oral cancer oriented. And the second is that now I'm working on breast cancer. Okay. So the recent studies which we have been doing is on the cancer stem cells, whether they reprogram them as mesenchymal stem cells or not. So in many cases, we find that the cases are okay. They can be disease-free for 10 years after the treatment and everything. But in many cases, we find that although both the cases are same, have HER2 TNBC. Recent, I will say, there are two cases of TNBC, triple negative breast cancer. One was from Assam and one was from Delhi. So the Assam, the lady, what she did is that she had a family history of breast and cervical cancer. So she had a small lump. She went to Tata Memorial, got it, she got her breasts removed and everything. So after that, she did a whole genome sequencing. In that, she found that she might have got cervical cancer. she might get cervical cancer. So what she did is that she operated out her cervix as well. So now she is cancer free. Same case, there was a family history of breast cancer, triple negative, we found in Delhi. That girl, she didn't go for any other treatment. She went on for going from treatment to treatment. Her treatment started in 2017, but in between, her was her state was worsened, and then she had to stop her medicines. Then we had to restart her medicines. Then we found that her she had gone into metastatic stage. She had got all those in every part of her spinal cord, in her lungs, in different parts of the neck. So she had a family history of cervical cancer as well, but she didn't go for this whole genome sequencing or anything. So we couldn't save her. So these are the two cases. One lady is still surviving, fit and fine with her follow-ups. One lady, she demised. So here comes the work of the personalized medicine. Here comes the work of the personalized medicine. How do we personalize this to? Might be this lady needed a different form of medicine, medicinal procedures or whatever the treatments. So we need to personalize it. But when she came to us, she was already on the third stage of her cancer. So we didn't have time for personalization.
Got it. But let's just go to the best part of your life, that is just opening an NGO, working with different people, working with different people from different backgrounds. Like you have seen doctors, you have seen researchers, you have seen common folks also. So what was the reason behind you starting that NGO? And also your story was good in terms of why you entered the field of research in cancer and things like that. But what really motivated you to get inside NGO and start an NGO, just make a new ways in which people can really get educated about the cancer and the treatments, the follow-ups and things like that. What is your NGO all about also?
So my NGO is just an organization we started this year itself. So my NGO is basically interested with working with cancer patients, palliative care patients, because I am associated with Pratishruti Palliative Care in Assam. So they are working with palliative counseling of patients who are in palliative care, taking care of them. So I have learned it from Dr. Gayatri. I am under the guidance of Dr. Gayatri. And then I am working with Dr. Bikul Das for Kavi Krishna telemedicine. And I am here in Assam. So the place where my home is, it is a tea garden area. So that area is like people are not really educated. They're basically day-to-day laborers. So we need the amendments to bring them from those tea garden areas to Assam Medical College, and from Assam Medical College to Guwahati Medical College. If their treatment doesn't go well in Guwahati Medical College, then they need to come to AIMS. So we are thinking of building a bridge. And if somebody is associated or somebody is detected with cancer, how to get them treated by sitting at home. Dr. Bikul Das has been helping me. Dr. Gayatri has been helping me, and various other organizations like there is another one from Archana Bodhakur. So she is also helping me. So these are some of the things which we are doing so that we can educate the people about cancer, breast cancer, oral cancer. These are the two forms of cancer which basically takes place over there. Breast cancer, oral cancer, cervical cancer. Need to educate them about HPV, about oral cancer and breast cancer, cervical cancer. So we have started this initiative, and then to build a bridge. And what are the basically the funds? There are various funds that have been given by Government of India, like Atal Yojana and BPL card holders. So they don't have any form of things. They're just tea garden workers. They plug the teas and they go back home. So they don't have Aadhaar card. They don't have proper BPL card. So we are kind of channelizing it so that when they go for some treatment, so that whatever the money the government gives for chemotherapies or various other treatments for cancer, so they can avail those funds. So there are various other schemes. So this work was started in Pratishruti. So Pratishruti is again helping me with that, and Kavi Krishna is helping with the teleconsultation of the patients. So this is one. This is the work which we basically do. And second is about the especially able child. So we don't have too much education about the specially able child. So I don't want to talk too much about it because this would be deviating. So mine is just like with cancer patients, palliative care of the patients, and rehabilitating the cancer survivors. We are trying to do those works over there. And yeah, so I want to say one thing. The thing is that about the bioethical things of patients, because I work with this group. So in India, basically, when a person has cancer, the family sometimes says, कुछ नहीं है, मतलब they don't have cancer, they take the treatment, they don't know what is the treatment that going on. So we don't really know about the bioethics of human body and even the consents. I work with people like they give the samples. So this is my body. If I'm going to give a sample to somebody, then I have every right to know what is the research that is going on with it. We educate the people that whenever you are going to give a sample, you have every right to question the researcher or the person to whom you are giving the samples, whether what is the research. So that is a bill, that is a bridge, the consent thing. Many places, the students just come, take the samples and go away. And the patient never knows really what has gone with what they have done with the samples. But we educate the patient that this person has taken your sample for this study. You have every right to question this person at any moment in your life that what is the research and what is the output you have done with this sample from my body. So that is one thing. That is about the bioethics from the patient's point of view I'm talking. So that is one thing. So you can put it anywhere in between if you want.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for this amazing podcast. I think most of the time we try to demystify what is a disease and we forget that we need to research about it and then we need to approach any of the problem statement. I think this is going to educate a lot of bioinformaticians like me and the aspirants like who are really want to get inside the bioinformatics and the field of medicine and the engineering combined together. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this podcast.
Okay. Bye.
Yes.